back when it was pirate radio culture and before you had platforms like a lot of the internet platforms, One Extra, none of that existed. You know what I mean? So it was pirate radio culture, forums, Bluetooth. It was a different way of life, but I was popping back then. Um, and then I was made homeless in 2003 and I had to move to Eastbourne. I had no choice. The only thing that I needed to find a job and I needed to find somewhere to live because you can't function from living on a park bench, you know what I mean? So um, it was a thing where I couldn't be who I wanted to be because I didn't have the means to do it. I couldn't function. So I took the first job and the first place that I could find, which happened to be Eastbourne. A friend of mine's a friend of mine's mum and dad actually helped me out. They were looking for things for me, and I knew a guy who originally was a fan, and he got in touch, and I built a friendship with him. And then after a while, Dan, his name's Dan Clark, his mum and dad helped me out massively in finding a place in Eastbourne. And during that time, I left the area that I was known. Everything everything that I needed to function was back at home, and I had to move 85 miles away from everything I know. Broke on my ass, you know what I mean? Didn't have anything. So even though I was up here, I moved and kind of lost everything. Um, so I was the most depressed I've ever been. There's a place called not a lot of people know this. There's a place called Beachy Head in Eastbourne, which is like one of the #1 suicide spots in Europe because it's like an unguarded 700-foot cliff or whatever it is. And I was sitting up there, just like not on the edge with my legs dangling over, but sitting up there, and they have like hourly suicide patrol driving up and down. Yeah, and the guy got out of the truck and he come over and he said, "We've had a few phone calls about you. You've been up here for a couple of hours. Is everything all right?" So I was driven home. He said, "Jump in the truck," and I was driven home by a suicide patrol. I wasn't suicidal, but they were concerned. You know what I mean? I was sitting up there just gathering my thoughts. Yeah, and that was probably the lowest point of my life that I can remember. Um, so yeah, I moved to Eastbourne, lost everything, and it was that time where I say I come from a window that was like at the end of not the end of garage, but it was transitioning from the 90s garage sound into grime. And it was that window where I was MCing, where I made a name for myself. And then as that window was closing, I moved to Eastbourne. So the new window, which was grime, opened up without me.
It's almost like all these things have been put in the way to stop you from getting where you got to go.
For real. Like when grime come about, yeah, it was a thing where I sort of got myself back. I had a guy, my friend Carl, I phoned him one night and I was like, "Bro, have you still got your van?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Are you busy tonight?" He said, "No, why?" I said, "I have to get out of here now. I have to get out of here now. I have to go tonight." So he went, "Oh, funnily enough, I've just been seeing a girl called Sally." And he was like, "I'll just pick Sally up. Do you fancy a road trip, Sal?" "No worries. I'm going to come pick you up." So I went, "Right, I'm getting my shit together." I packed my entire flat and he got there at like 4 o'clock in the morning because it was like a good 2 hour drive, 2.5 hour drive to get to me. Packed up my whole flat, packed it into his van and just drove off. Never went back to that flat. Just abandoned it. After I got back, I left Eastbourne, come back and I was like, right, I'm ready to continue from where I left off. And the whole grime movement had got started and it kind of felt like it was, no, you weren't here when we started this. You know what I mean? This is our thing. Your thing's like a couple of years ago doing the dark garage thing. So I'm now the garage MC, not the grime MC, even though what I was doing was basically like very early grime anyway. Um, and yeah, and I just thought I'm never putting myself in that position again where I can lose everything that I've built. And I've built my way up and built my way up. And right now, 2024, I am busier than I've ever been in my whole life. Even though it's probably not the path I'd have carved for myself if everything went my way. But the way it has ended up is that you know, like I say, that pigeonhole, once I started to embrace it and focus on it, people know where to find me. They know what I do. They know what they like. You know what you're getting. So I focused on it, and I'm busier now than I've ever been in my life. I'm a full-time musician.